but yeah, let's start the session. So can you please unmute yourself one at a time and start with your introduction? I'll start with mine first. So yeah, I'm Girish and I do have around 10 years of experience with respect to overall in the industry, and I have around like 7+ years of hands-on data engineering expertise. And my major focus is on AWS primarily, and I also have experience on Azure and bits like parts and bits of GCP, not much into GCP. So, and coming to my area of interest, I'll prefer to work on ETL, data engineering, and data orchestration, and also often I have worked on AI and ML development. Basically, more into finance and supply chain. Yeah, over to you guys.
Yeah, hi. I'm Shweta. I worked for one of the companies for 6 years. Then I took a break. Then I'm trying to restart my career. That's why I'm here to learn the technologies, the new technology. So in my
Okay,
career,
so
like
Shweta,
previously,
pardon me.
sorry,
One
go
request
ahead.
is kindly mention what exactly you're looking for in this session. Okay, the
Yeah,
prime reason why
actually,
you are here.
yeah. So when I worked in my career for 6 years, I worked as a business analyst. Specifically on HANA and ETL side, on data like report generation and data management. So especially on data marts, HANA data marts, and all those. So I am trying to
Okay,
add some. I'm trying to gain like latest technologies and on this area, specifically data analytics and all those areas. And AWS is trending now, and I'm also interested in GCP, uh, but this session is about AWS, right?
right.
Yep.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Shweta. Thanks
So
for the
that is
introduction.
the, yep.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, over to next one.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kapil. I have a total experience of around 9 years. I have knowledge of AWS and GCP cloud. I'm in DevOps profile right now. So I was curious about this role, data engineering, which is being used in our organization, and in order to cope up with my team and the work which I have been assigned to, I have joined this program. Thank you.
Thanks, Kapil. Thank you. So, can you move on to the next?
Hi, my name's Aaliyah. I go by Ali. I currently work as a senior business analyst. I joined this class to further my skills with data engineering as well as Power BI and data analytics.
Hey, Ali. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. We'll move on to the next.
Hi all, my name is Ritesh and I'm currently working as a AWS Cloud engineer. And now I want to I would like to know more about the data analytics ETL pipeline. And that's why I'm here to know more about what exactly we can do with the data. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Ritesh. And I think we are left with a couple more, Nitin and Ashok.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Nitin Swami, and I hold a, a large amount of experience in IT domain. I've worked in various profiles as a Java developer, as a technical lead, as well as worked on on-prem and on-prem clusters. My core strengths are in database administration, and the reason I'm looking for this course is I want to learn techniques related to AWS data engineering. I've also worked as a data engineer, so but I am not that proficient related to AWS. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Nitin. Yeah, so Ashok, I think you are the only one left in the end. Ashok, you there? Okay, yeah, I
I
think
think he's gone somewhere.
maybe, yeah. Okay, yeah. Thank you all. Thank you for your introduction. And again, I'll go ahead with my sharing the screen, and I'll set up the context of what exactly we are here for, and we'll proceed with any other points like what exactly we're going to learn through this session. And it will be a purely hands-on session, not today, not starting today, but going forward once you are all in. So even we'll start with interactive sessions altogether. And first and foremost thing, guys, I would like to keep this interactive, not a one-way session. It cannot be one-way session. It needs to be interactive, and I would request you all to be unmuted for most of the point. Not immediately though, but whenever it is required, please keep yourself unmuted. So once that is done, we'll move on to the next stages of, we'll try to explore what kind of roles you can transit into, because every individual will have their own expertise, and every individual will have their own targets. One could be just into, one person wants to be a AWS data engineer, other wants to enhance themselves within the current role, within, it could be in the DevOps side, or it could be in the implementation side, or in the production side. So every individual has their own interest, and that varies from person to person. So having said that, I'll just start sharing my screen, and please let me know once you're able to see it. Guys, as I mentioned, this
Yes,
cannot
Yes,
be a
yes,
one-way session.
yes, we can see
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So please, are you able
we
to?
can say that.
Okay, great, great. So basically, this is how the structure is all about. Today we'll be talking about the introduction and the objective of this entire session, and what are the benefits of this AWS demo engineering session, or basically the entire AWS data engineering, and what are the topics we are going to cover. And in the end, we'll have questions. In case, even if you want to ask any questions in between, you can just raise your hand, even though I might not be able to see it immediately. We'll again go with the approach of asking questions once we complete the topic or the presentation. It will not take much time. I would say like not more than 5-6 slides. I have just prepared a simple thing so that you all can understand what we are up to and how we can proceed further. So that is the primary concept over here. Any questions from here or till now? Okay, all
No.
right. I'll take this as no, and I'll move. Okay, yeah, I'll take this as no, and I'll move on. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm Girish here. So I'm a seasoned engineer with 10 years of experience with 7+ years into data engineering. And I started out with TCS, Accenture, HSBC. Currently, I'm working with Infinity Research, which is analytics core company. And slowly I'll be moving into ANZ Bank as AVP over there. So that is my transition altogether from the beginning. Now I'm going to be like working under as a kind of mentoring the data architect, and I'll be looking into end-to-end implementation of ETL pipelines and within AWS. And GCP also, we are slowly, I think they are going to bring in, but I'm not sure of that yet. Once we join in, I'll get to know. And coming to the objective over here, like see, on a higher note, we will know what exactly data engineering is, and what are the tools, or the what kind of tools are being used within data engineering, and how we can try to build data pipelines on AWS. And in the end, once you just build a data pipeline, it is not just like, okay, whatever happens in the backend, that's not none of my business. Now it will be completely your business to understand what happens in the backend. So once we implemented data lake and lake house, so what happens once we pull the data from a particular portal or any other API, or it could be any other place, it could be from any file, what exactly happens in the backend? That is transformation that we need to understand. Post transformation, how does the data flows into a database? In general, on a higher level, assume it as an Excel row and Excel column. Likewise, we'll have more than multiple sheets, which are considered as tables. And how these entire tables are being designed, because there is a concept of optimization. It is not just like assume you have a book. When we have a book, we always go through the index first. We'll not directly read the entire book. So when you go through the index, you get to know what kind of topic is being discussed at what page. That is an optimized approach to read a book. So likewise, we also have databases which are optimized and stored in data lakes and lake houses. And there are differences over there in the backend. To talk about what exactly data lake is and what exactly data lake houses are, those are different topics what we're going to discuss. And once this is done, we need to push this raw data or the transformed data into an analytical phase. So when we talk about analytical phase, think of it in this way. It's a picture or a diagram which has been built on top of your existing data. So what does what does it depict? In general, it is conveying some information to our eyes. So when we again go through read a book, we try to get to know what is the content by reading the paragraphs or the text part. But if we see an image, it gives you a lot more context within very short time, and you not spend too much time on your text part. So that is the benefit of having data analytics on top of any cloud as for that sake. And in the end, we will make sure that how can we use these kind of tools to build an end-to-end implement or end-to-end pipeline, so that in the end we are comfortable in trying to understand. Sorry, if there was a is someone speaking in the backend? Sorry. Okay, I'll take that as no. Sorry. So in that we'll get to know how exactly we can implement it and for the final steps. So yeah, I'll start with what exactly the role is data engineering. As we mentioned over here, I think Nitin has he has data engineering experience. Basically, it's all about orchestrating the data and collecting from multiple sources and cleaning it and storing within the required set of information within database or data warehouse or lake houses, and rendering the data to the clients or your end customer for their business purpose. Whatever we implement, every single step should have a business outcome. Until there is no business outcome, there is no actual backend. If there is a business outcome, that has to be kept in a system. So how does this system is kept? In previous times, as far as I remember, in the initial days, when I was working with TCS, over there it was like we used to test the code, and once that code is tested, that used to be moved from the on-premise server and again moved on to on-premise databases. So during this phase, if any issues happens, that was fixed within the on-premise. What exactly on-premise is? Let's assume you have a company which has like 10, 12 floors and they're running the entire company over there. In some fourth floor or fifth floor, they used to have a control room. Within this control, they will have their multiple information or the multiple sets of servers, which has been kept and waiting for their operations. So this was the concept initially what was being used. But slowly everything was moved from on-premise to cloud. The reason behind it is pretty simple. One is availability. So there is very high chances that your on-premise server could have failed at any given time, or you could face network outage. You could face any sort of issues. One, it could be someone attacked it, hacked it, or you went through some sort of problems in between, like your geographic location is locked out, and we were in the COVID phase. What would happen during that time? Automatically you will be in a situation of not you're in a situation of unable to access the data or the content from your database. So in order to address all these kind of challenges, the big three initially it was built by some person or like let's say a group of people, and the big three over here, AWS, Azure, and Google. Basically Azure is with respect to Microsoft and AWS is with respect to Amazon. So these people came up with the plan, and we have smaller players as well, who's like Alibaba or XYZ people over there. So the big three over here, they came up with a solution of concept of we will own the infrastructure, we will own your software needs, we will own your operating system requirements. But in turn, you just use it and pay for the duration what you use the infrastructure or the service from our end. This is as simple as that. So when you were in your initial stages, you might have gone to computer stations to play games, right? Over which time it came to your house, and over then from slowly into computers or laptops. From there, now we are playing on the web. So similarly over here as well, the software development has seen its own transition. Initially, it was done on premise, slowly transformed into web. Now it is everything is on cloud. So there is no desktop applications as such now. Everything moved into web. From there on, the cloud concept came in, and everything is shared and hosted over some corner location in a remote corner of the world. From sitting over here, we try to access it. So this is on the positive side of the cloud. And what are the negative ends? What happens if you host everything on the cloud, and what will be the problems? See, majority of the problems are being addressed, and majority whoever is facing this one are mostly related to banks. The reason is data security. When everything is hosted in one single particular corner of the location or corner of the world, it becomes an easy target for any other hacker. Just think, they are not just like us who tries to come and code on some XYZ platform. They have their own methodologies and they try to access it. And once the data is available in one single corner, it becomes an easy access. So that is the primary problem or the statements or what these financial institutions face. and that is being addressed altogether. That is on a higher level, that is a challenge. And coming to the other part is a data leakage. Suppose we try to access the cloud by sitting in the corner of the world. So when we try to access it, due to some mismatch, it could be for internet, it could be the network availability, or the on-premise actions, whatever we are having. It could be because of security layers. It could lead to data loss or data leakage. That is another challenge. So in order to address these kind of situations, they have multiple clusters which has been spread all over the world. So likewise, AWS also has its own clusters. One within India, if they want, they'll have it. One is in US, they'll have in the West or the East Coast, or in Europe. So likewise, each cluster will have the replica of the data, what we have it. And according to the requirements and the requirements of the security, or it could be the risk, each cluster will be up and running for the sake of operations. That is the ease of operations. This is on the higher node. And the best and the easiest way of handling the AWS or the cloud infrastructure, the benefit I would say, was in with respect to auto scaling. So auto scaling was addressed very efficiently, not just with respect to AWS, it was with respect to cloud. That was addressed very efficiently. So I think you are having a higher level of information of what exactly this training is all about, and what you can expect over here. Any questions over here?
I am good. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Shweta. So any other questions from anyone else? Okay, in case if there aren't any, I'll take this as yes, and I'll move on. Yeah, so we were discussing about the training benefits over here. So in the end, we should be in a situation like you are able to develop, first you are able to understand the business objective. Once that business objective is understood, you're able to implement the outcome what is expected for this particular business objective. And how that is done, you basically access the data from an extra or outside world, try to pull it into your platform, transform it, store it in your local, that is AWS local with respect to your cloud. And once that is done, you transform, store it in within AWS cloud, and then you render it for the OLAP platform. Basically, we call it as OLTP and OLAP. OLTP is nothing but transactional database. Whatever raw data comes in, you try to transform it and store it in your databases. OLAP is the required transformation, which is required for like diagram creation or any other Power BI front dashboarding creation. For that, if you need the data, that has to be cleared off from the OLTP part, that is transactional database. Then it is rendered shared as CSV files, which is we call as OLAP, which is extracted from OLAP. So this is the idea of this entire session. And if you want, we can discuss more over here. I can give you a high level overview of data engineering, how it happens in the actual world. Can we go into that part of discussion?
Yes, please.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for responding. See, let's assume I'll just take up a realistic example in this world. Let's say we are trying to sell some products. Let's say it is Reckitt Benckiser. You guys might be knowing who is Reckitt Benckiser, right? Yes, no, also maybe. Could you please respond on top
Mm,
of it?
No,
Okay, I'll take this as.
no, no,
Have you heard of the product Dettol?
no,
no.
Have you heard of the product Dettol or Mortin or any other Lysol, any other
More.
product as
Yes,
such,
yes,
which is in
yes,
with
Yes.
yes.
yeah, yeah. So these products, these are being sold. One, it could be sold in your supermarts like Costco, Walmart, Amazon online, and there are multiple vendors called Lowe's or any other person you take it. Likewise, if it is in India, it is called Visualmart or any other such thing. If it is in USA, Target, Costco, as I mentioned, Costco, so Walmart. These people will have their own online stores, and also they have offline stores. So once they're trying to sell, how do they track it? That becomes the first challenge, correct? In what layers of levels of information they're supposed to track? Think of it in this way. So today, if RB, that is the RB Reckitt Benckiser, who's the parent company of this products, they want to sell across around 30 40 vendors, and they're supposed to track at every single geography. It becomes a bigger headache. On top of that, they need to have their own inventory level monitoring. And once that is done, they are supposed to track what kind of requirement is required or how the customer is purchasing. Once that is done, they need to understand whether the current inventory level at each store is being monitored or not. And they have their own warehouses. This is a very tricky scenario. It is not straightforward. Let's narrow it down. Let's take it on to one warehouse or one vendor at a time. I'll take one vendor, which is Walmart, who has presence on both online and offline. And I'll explain in the higher level how does this Walmart work. I'll not go into the details of it, but only with respect to Reckitt Benckiser, that's RB, who's the supply chain vendor over here. So now I am RB. I want to sell my products. If I have to sell, first I have to go to Walmart and tell them, boss, I have my products which is required for my customers, and I'm going to sell it on your online portal as well as your offline stores. Walmart will agree to it, and he'll say, okay, fine. How you give me this much amount of products for this particular week, and now that's all. That's all he's going to do. He's just going to say, you can just start selling it. Once you come onto the platform of Walmart, you should know that what kind of customers are in which particular geography. Now that level of information Walmart will be able to supply to you. Based on that, you meet your demands, you supply them back the products. If it is online, the customer will go to the portal and order it immediately, job done. What if it is offline? When the person comes into superstore, he comes in and he takes the product and he checks it out and he takes it back. So you have to keep your inventory levels monitored in the superstores. When it comes to online stores, it is pretty easy to monitor, but when it comes to offline stores, it becomes very tricky. So, and all this information has to be extracted out. So Walmart has their own portal. They will share the data. Through that, RB will monitor the inventory levels of their products. And they also know the supply and as well as the demand. And this is where the forecasting comes into picture. Based on the data, whatever is provided by Walmart, RB will start forecasting the needs, that supply and demand. That's on the higher note. When it goes into the granularity, how does RB extract that information from Walmart? That is the prime objective for us now. So Walmart has their vendor portal where they're going to share the data. It could be in the form of CSV, it could be in the form of JSON, Excel, raw text file, or an API for the sake. It could be in any format. So now how do we collect it out? We need to have infrastructure from our end. If we don't have it, it's of no use to us. And that has to be very much in the form of a particular structure. See, this is the challenge. Now, this is where we as data engineers come into picture. What we do is, when in general, we write crawlers, we will go into Walmart's portal and we'll try to write some automation scripts. You can write a Python script, you can write any JavaScript, we can use AWS Glue, which is a service within AWS. As a data engineer, I'll access the vendor portal, that is Walmart's portal, collect the data from them through scraping or crawlers. Once that is accessed, I'll decide at what level I need to collect the data. Is it at daily level, hourly level, or weekly level? For now, we'll fix it to daily level. Daily at the 9 or like 12 in the night, my crawler will crawl into vendor portal, that's Walmart's portal, collect the data, store it. Now, where do I store my data? I know I have accessed it. Where can I store it? Any guesses? Hello? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So any guess where this kind of data, whatever is being accessed, is being stored? Okay. So see, in general, this data, whatever is being stored in the form of this raw files, will be stored in our delta lakes. We call it as delta lakes. In general, you can assume this as a library where the raw contents are just coming and being placed. These are not transformed ones. These are raw books. There is no information in that. It is just like accessible. Whoever wants it, they can just take it and read it. Now, again, in the you know what is happening internally. Okay, you cannot go and you cannot keep a pile of books within library and say, okay guys, you can go access anything what you want. That is not the plan. That is not at all the right way of handling the scenario. Now what do? You catalog the content. Cataloging. What exactly is cataloging in general? You say if there are 3 or 4 books, you just pick it up and try to understand what kind of genre they are, or what department do they belong to, and you take it up and you place it. That is what exactly a data engineer does. He extracts the content from AWS, whatever has been extracted from AWS Glue. That in the backend we catalog it, and we design the catalog internally first. We'll try to understand what is the expected incoming data. Whatever we are trying to access from vendor portal, we collect it. We build a catalog around it. Cataloging is nothing but it contains which are the columns which are required and how many rows per expected number of rows. That may not be an important thing, but we try to gauge that as well. Once that is done, we just insert the data into each catalog for that respective product what is being sold. If it is Dettol, Dettol will have its own catalog database. And if it is Mortin, that itself will have its own database, that is cataloging. So this information is being stored in one of our databases. This is what we call as OLTP. And that's where our warehousing concepts come into picture, and store it in Delta Lakes, data lake houses. So all this is on higher level. Assume it's on a very large scale. It will be in terms of petabytes at times. So that is the level of information what is being stored. In the next step, on higher node, if we want to access this data and if we want to try out something, how do I access it? I'm storing it. My next part is I need to extract something out of the data, correct? So how do I do it? Now a data scientist will come. Anyways, you are the data engineer, and the data scientist, they have an hypothesis saying that in the coming winter months, they're expecting sale to be triggered for a particular product X. So now they want to understand what kind of work or what kind of sales or offers has to be released to the market, and they want to recommend it. How does it happen? Now they build a hypothesis around the informed, like whatever is there within the ground level scenario. They connect with the business, try to understand how the actual sales happen, and what are the current offers being given, and what basis. Is it rule based approach, or do they have any alternative approaches for that? And they evaluate and come up with a hypothesis. For that, they will be accessing set of information. That is where they come up with a triage. A triage is the place analytics team or data scientist team of data science and business, they all three sit together and they have the discussion, and data science team will come up with the requirements saying that this is what we're looking into. Business will sort it out and try to understand what are the possible features which have been stored within our OLTP database. So these lakehouses will hold all this information, and once that is done, they intimate the data engineering team saying that, guys, these are the sets of information which has to be extracted from our OLTP, which France extracted to be cleaned and shared with the data science team as OLAP, that is Online Analytical Processing Database. So once they share it with the OLAP team, then we come into picture of this Power BI developers, or it be a data science team who clean up, they collect the data in the form of their CSV files, whatever it is, they collect that information and start working on top of the high level information, or it's the what you call the chunk of whatever is required for the hypothesis. If the hypothesis is proven right or proven wrong, if it is null hypothesis, they reject it. If the null hypothesis is rejected, then the use case comes into picture. Then they develop the script, they build a high model and development scenario. Once this is being developed, they share the same content with the data engineering team, and we will implement the same on the production level information using the scripts which has been shared, and that conversion is called migration, code migration. That is also part of data engineering work. that will also happen with this AWS. It could be in Cloud9 or it could be in AWS Lambda, Athena, however or wherever we want to. So this is the service within AWS we have, and this is how data engineers will use their skill set, and this is what we are supposed to learn in general for the real world example. Any questions over here?
No.
So guys, I would like to keep this interactive. So in case if you have any questions, please shoot it. Okay, so I do have a couple of doubts from my end. My first obvious question is, when AWS or any other cloud provider, for the sake of this training, let's say it is AWS, when they have their own services, what is the need of Python and SQL over here? Why do we want to learn Python and SQL in case if it is required? Or how is Python and SQL is going to help us? Any guesswork? Okay. Okay, I'll
Maybe to
answer this part.
integrate with other systems.
Pardon me?
Maybe to integrate or talk to other systems or the legacy systems or some other kind of systems. It's just a guess.
Okay. Yeah, it could be possible. That is also part of work, but not the exact primary requirement. But yeah, that is also possible. Thanks for the information, Shweta. Yeah, definitely. If you want to integrate with legacy systems, we'll be using Python. But what could be the core core importance with respect to Python, or it could be Java or Scala? What could be the
To
core importance
customize
here?
the data, whatever we are getting, it is a raw data, to customize it
Exactly,
into a
correct. Yeah,
usable data.
absolutely correct. So that's where the skill set comes into picture. See, this is in general. Again, we'll go into library again. The example of library. When a person comes into library, he will not know what exactly or what kind of data is available in which section. If they say science and technology, he just knows it is science and technology. But science is again divided into multiple parts, multiple chunks. Who will know all this information? A librarian will definitely know this point. That's why we keep a librarian. Even though a software is designed for library management system, which is AWS for us here, a librarian is required to operate it, to understand what is a requirement which the user is seeking or looking into. So likewise, when it comes to AWS, we as a data engineer, we know what kind of data is required or what is the pipeline you are supposed to build to keep a streamlined flow of data. That is our primary core part of work. So that's why we need to learn Python and SQL, or it could be Java or Scala. It need not be limited to Python alone, but on a primary note, people are preferred with respect to Python because of its is the prime reason. So we write custom code to access the content incoming data and help them store in the databases OLTP. Once that is done, to extract the same data from OLTP and render it back to the data science team or analytical team, we need to have custom skills because that exact requirement comes in custom form. It will not be straightforward, right? Tomorrow I don't know what kind of hypothesis a data scientist will come up with. When he comes up with this hypothesis, I need to be able to serve his requirement. For that, I need to extract and transform. And what best, apart from SQL and Python, is required to extract and transform the data? I think that answers the end-to-end question over here. I hope you have got the gist of what exactly or where the data engineer comes into picture, where a developer, or it could be data scientist or a BI engineer, you can say it, comes into picture, and how do we integrate that with business. This is what happens in the backend. It's on the higher note, but when you go in depth, there are lots and lots of other intricacies and the complexities comes into picture. With time, we'll learn it. Any doubts from till here? Please
So
feel free to
I
share
have a
or
doubt
ask any
here.
doubts. Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
if this data analytics engineer works with the ETL team or as a part of ETL team?
Same.
They must know the knowledge. They must have the knowledge of ETL tools or the ETL layer.
Okay. Definitely yes. See, if they have the knowledge, it is always good. In general, assume this as in the information of. Okay, I'll go back to the some concept of library. So
Okay.
now
And
assume you're a
also, I
student.
have one more doubt. With whom the data
Yeah.
analytic engineer works? With the business team or with the developer or with the ETL or if it is another layer, if there is another layer, with whom usually they work, get
Mm,
along?
data analytics engineer, or
I mean,
can you repeat
as
your
a,
question so that helps it clarify?
I mean,
Yeah.
i- if we learn the data engineering now, it is all about
Mm-hmm.
data, right? Are we going to work with the business or are we, anyways, we have to work with the developers as well. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
trying to understand where our position comes in the like complete corporate model, like in the flow,
Okay.
in the data
Mm-hmm.
flow, where is our
Mm-hmm. Got
part?
you. Okay. So when it comes to data flow, you are the primary point of contact. If the system is up, if the system is down, anything happens to the system, you will be the primary people. Because of course there will be a platform team who will have their SREs and the DevOps team who handles the backend code and other parts of work, the intricacies, the CI/CD pipelines and all. They will be there, but you will be the primary point of contact in case if anything goes wrong. Let's say, for example, tomorrow some issues happening from the customer end. Now, who will the customer complain to? By default, the customer will complain to business. Now, business, what they do, they will come and try to understand what kind of problem it is. If it is something which has to happen with the data, definitely you will be the first one. You will work with business. You have to work with business. And second thing, you are a technical team. You are not the actual business team. You won't be handling the business requirements, but you'll be using those business requirements into implementation of technicality, implementation of in the terms of architecture. So on a higher note, you will handle the end-to-end system for data collection, cleaning, analysis, implementation, and in the end, it will be rendering. And now let's come into the part of where you fit into. You will be kind of assume this is a cycle wheel. You have multiple spokes. In the center comes the business. Along with business, they have the requirements. Is it in the coding part? Is it on the infrastructure maintenance? Is it on the R&D part? So your part will be coming in the point of infrastructure implementation and maintenance. So you will be kind of a bedrock layer. In case if I have to say, you will not be directly exposed to the outer world, but you will be the actual part where the business lies on, and you are the responsible person for scaling up or scaling down the business. I hope I have answered your question, Shweta, here.
Yep. Thank you so much. I got you.
Yeah. So next questions. Any other questions if you have, please shoot it. Feel free to share. So I hope we are good till here then. Taking that one, I'll move on to the next part. Yeah. So I'll also share the what do we call the syllabus in general for this session, so that you will get to know what is being taught here in general. I think, okay, meanwhile, we have a couple more people who have joined in. Sam, I think Sam is the other person. Yeah, I'll share the syllabus or the course content, what we will be targeting. So in general, we discuss what is data engineering. We'll definitely go through the data engineering in depth. But once that is done, what is data management? So basically, data management is not just about collecting data and storing it and later on sharing it with the team. There are lots and lots of things comes into picture, like what kind of data management techniques are there, what are the architectures which are involved in, how do we design this architecture within AWS, with this database, data warehouse, lake house, delta lakes, and there is one more thing called data marts. So, and once the data, whatever is coming in, at what level we store the data in which uh, data management architecture. So that is the very key. That is where we come into picture. That's our expertise. It should be. Now within AWS, what are the services we have? So database, this is DBMS or DMS, we call it. So Amazon Database Management or Migration Services. Need not worry much about it. Again, Kinesis for streaming. Yeah, I think we need to discuss one more part here. When it comes to rendering the data, there is processing. There is something called processing in the backend. Basically, like handling the system or the management of the databases and extracting the data and rendering it to the laptop. In general, how does this work? Like, let's say now you log into Netflix. What happens in Netflix when you click on any of the movies? Guys, come on, please be interactive.
It
This is
will
very
play.
simple thing. Now, when you click on any movie, it will play. Correct. How does it work? Because before clicking, it didn't work. The moment you click, it started. What
Mhm.
happens in the backend in a higher note? Let's go into technical. As per your understanding, what happens in the backend?
It will call API call,
Okay, you call an
start the
API. So yeah, what starts? What exactly starts there?
stream video stream.
Exactly, streaming. Yes, that is the word keyword I was looking for. Streaming. So that is streaming, right? That's a good thing. You want immediate reply, immediate response. That is where streaming comes into picture. Now let's take up another example. Now we'll go to LinkedIn. Into LinkedIn, we'll update our all our profile. But there is one section which once you update, they'll show you notification after 6 hours or 3 hours or 9 hours. This particular section will get updated on its own because LinkedIn feature is not an immediate requirement, right? You don't expect it to the moment you click on this LinkedIn button, you don't expect anything to come out on top of the video and start playing it. Correct? You expect it to look or expect the changes to be reflected after a while. And if you go into Netflix again, in the base or in the bottom, you can see the recommended movies. That recommended movies will not change over time. After like let's say for 3 hours or 6 hours, it won't change. Even though you watch multiple movies, based on the selections, again new recommendations will come. What happens in the backend over there? What happens in the backend? It is not streaming, but some kind of processing happens in the backend. What it is
Maybe
generally?
they are like using AI for analyzing pattern and behavior, how
Correct.
we are using.
Absolutely right. You are spot on. But I'm expecting one keyword over there. I'll just help you navigate over there. Let's try to understand in this way. So let's say you are there. Along with you, similarly, there are like more than 10,000 users who have similar interests. Everybody's interest will differ, right? Everybody wants to watch a movie on their own interest. So when each of them are accessing this content, the recommended part, is it possible for me to render this recommendation individually for everyone? Immediately on the spot, I want the reply for them from them. Now today they'll watch movie one. Immediately they'll watch movie two. My recommendation should change immediately or not? If yes, why? If not, why? Okay, I'll help you out here. See, there is something called batch processing. What happens is the user intention or user sentiment won't change immediately. Most of the cases, it won't change on the spot like this within a snap. Within a snap, it won't change. It has to change over time. Time is a factor. How much time it will change? We don't know. By what time it changes? We don't know. We definitely are not aware, but there is a change. This change happens over a certain duration. We fix the duration. When it comes to Netflix recommendations, that recommendations will get refreshed after 1 hour or 2 hours. Similar files. It will not be for individual person. You watch a set of movie, you have a set of behavior. In the backend, a machine learning algorithm or a deep learning algorithm will predict what kind of a behavior it is with respect to you, and it serves a set of users, and it will look into their views like kind of the set movies they're watching. That will come as recommendation. So this is called process. What happens is it will all be collective information all at a time comes into a single place. We keep storing it. After certain duration, let's say 1 hour, 2 hours or 3 hours, we process it. Once we process it, automatically every single information which has been stored will be pushed into the data engineering system, the pipeline. We generate recommendations and we send it back to the users. So this is batch processing. This is the difference over here. Stream processing and batch processing. So I hope this point is clear. And now since it is clear, I have one question for you all. What is the importance? Why do we have stream processing and why do we have batch processing? And what is the importance of these two with respect to data engineering? Let's keep things simple and try to understand in layman terms. What is the key benefits of having batch processing? What are the key benefits of string processing and what are the challenges over there? Guys, what is the benefit of stream processing in general? Let's start with one. It meets the user requirements immediately. The moment user wants something, he'll just stream it. Okay, he wants the immediate service. So he clicks on that service and it immediately pops up. So in the backend, what is the expectation? Is it the speed of the system? Is it the accuracy of the system? Or what is required over there? Either speed or accuracy, which one is being compromised here? Okay, so see, in general, when we click on streaming services, speed is the primary objective. You want the service to be up immediately. You want it to be up. So latency is the feature. So that's why when we develop APIs, always low latency APIs are used for streaming. And over here within AWS, we prefer Kinesis. Over here, as you can see on the screen, it is Kinesis, AWS Kinesis, which is the streaming feature. I also use Flink. Okay, now when it comes to the other part, when it comes to batch processing, what is expected? Is it the speed or the accuracy? What is required? So as we discussed, it is always the accuracy. Even though you can take its own time, like after half an hour or 1 hour, it doesn't matter, but you want the recommendations to be as accurate as possible. Let's go again into recommendations challenge here. If you want the recommendations, if it is proper, you feel like continue to watch the movie or you want to jump into the other movie. If it is not accurate, why do you expect it to be recommended, right? You don't even care for it. But when it comes to streaming, you know what you're trying to watch, but you want it to be up immediately. So these are the two different services or the features within Netflix app. The same set of information, and to be honest, Netflix uses AWS services, and AWS are the forefront runners or the front runners in this part of infrastructure. AWS is the primary thing on the market. So they help the companies like Netflix or LinkedIn or any other for that sake, they help them out. Now slowly LinkedIn moved from AWS to Azure. I think they have already slowly started moving out because LinkedIn is being owned by MS Microsoft, and again this Azure is with respect to Microsoft. That could be an internal collaboration. So let's not worry about that part. So over here we use Amazon Database Migration Service for migration over here and Kinesis for streaming. Along with this we have Flink and Amazon MSK for like streaming data ingestion over here. App-Flow. See, don't too much get worried about the services. You have more than 200 plus services. Try to understand the business problem and how that can be solved with AWS. Think in terms of architecture, design the architecture, go into then move into the individual services, connect the dots. You have a full data engineering pipeline built, and it is ready for the purpose. So that is the overall view what we are supposed to move towards. And the services or the data engineers toolkit will be helpful to build the architecture. Through that, you can be a better engineer. So that is the overall plan. And coming to the requirements, you definitely will have hands-on session with this, and you'll be logging into AWS portals individually. Once from there, you'll be building the data ingestion pipeline on a higher level. Once that is done, you'll be in a situation to build the pipelines on your own with help of business expectations. That is done, you are ready to be a AWS data engineer. So that is the overall plan here. I'll be sharing this particular link with you, or this document with you as well. You can definitely go through this. Only intention is I don't want to just deep dive into this because these services are pretty much new to all. I believe that is what my understanding is from this point. Since it is bit new, you might get overwhelmed or overcooked at the same time. So I just want to avoid that scenario. That's all. Is it okay for you all?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, great, great. So if that's okay, I think we are approaching towards the end of this demo session. If you have any questions or any doubts, please feel free to share, or you can shoot it right away over here.
So, as a part of this training session, are you going to assist us in building the resume and in that situations, like whenever
One
if
second.
required?
I think, sorry, there was some disturbance. You mentioned resume.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Deep. Thanks, Deep. Yeah. So you mentioned about resume. See, resume is something which we can build. If it's not like we don't want to build, but one thing is like I'm definitely going to share what all you can build within a resume. See, building resume requires your hands-on skill set, right? Hands-on skill set to be worked upon. That's an
Mm-hmm.
obvious thing, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here the expectation would be like whatever is being taught within the session, that will be
Mm-hmm.
definitely shared with you, and that will be transformed or translated into your resume. But
Mm-hmm.
having said that, I do have one more questions for you guys. How confident will you be to say that this is an enterprise level project?
It's
I
not
can tell
about
you
project.
100 words. Mhm.
Uh, See, then what is the use of
Yeah.
learning if you are not putting in the resume? Because we want to explore new opportunities. When we can get new
Correct.
opportunity, when you put it in the resume, then only we'll get new opportunities. Otherwise, we'll work on the same stuff which you worked earlier, right?
No, no, I meant it in the other way. See, the projects what you work will be at the normal level of individually. Like you will not be handling the enterprise level data, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
was.
my ask is, how do you how do you translate this project into an enterprise level project? That was my ask. You will definitely be aligned with AWS.
So I have a
If you are able
question.
to,
For this project that you're talking
uh,
about, is it going to be a project that we're going to start and then build upon to make it an enterprise project, or?
yeah, okay. So now coming to that part, see, it is pretty difficult to convert this entire session into an enterprise level project because I cannot guarantee that. Uh, But what I can help you out is convert this requirement into from a basic level of project into an enterprise level project. I can definitely guide you there. I can build your resume around it. You can build the story around it. But in order to work at the enterprise level, there are lots and lots of intricacies, not just with respect to the services what you learn here. It's also about the hands-on implementation and the other kind of business involvement which is required. Which at this point, this entire duration is pretty short, very short. Trust me, like I think this entire session is for 45 hours. In general, let's say in an for an engineer, 9 hours is his day. If you take, it is hardly 5 complete days of an engineer. In just 5 days, can you expect yourself to be an enterprise level implementation or that level of implementation work, you can have it in your mindset. If you say yes, I'll be more than happy to assist you. But you need to work upon more on top of that and try to understand the intricacies. In general, once you start working on the hands-on level, you will try to or you'll definitely face the challenges. Solve those challenges. Those are the expected ones in the actual world. That is the one what everyone expects in this world. Not exactly the enterprise level project implementation, because I can sell you stories, I can tell you stories and sell the same story to you. But in case if you know what happens at the ground level, you will get to know what exactly an enterprise level project is facing it. So that is the challenge what you are supposed to solve. We call it edge cases. Edge cases are the ones which are required for any company or any interviews for that sake. Is my answer okay to you, or you want some more in-depth information over there?
Yeah, I need some more information. Sorry, I couldn't
No
get
worries.
you.
Please feel free to ask. Okay. So see, Shweta, I'll take up an example of SQL. I think more or less everyone are familiar with SQL, right? So you can just click on this hands up. Assuming many of you are aware of SQL, I'll help you out. Try to understand. There's an option in the left bottom corner where you can react hands up. Yeah. You can just click on that react button. You can hands up in case if you're aware of SQL. Okay. Okay, Deep, you are not aware of it. Great. So, okay, I'll tell you what happens within SQL.
I'm
In
sorry,
an
I'm aware of it because I have studied SQL like in 6 years back. So I'm not, I need more practices for that.
no worries. That's absolutely fine. No worries. See, when you write an SQL query, you don't use the edge cases on daily basis. Let's say there is an example of group by. With group by, you don't use where. Instead, you use having. So that is the key edge case in general. So I'm specifically mentioning it this because Ali and Shweta, your questions are more or less similar since you are pointing towards that. When you design this edge cases, it's like this edge cases happens 1 in 100 or 1 in 1000s. That's a scenario which can happen once in 1000 times, but still you prepare yourself for it. And trust me, in interviews or in the companies, they expect you to know these edge cases, but you don't find it in day-to-day work very often. It comes in like, as I mentioned, once in a blue moon. Likewise, this enterprise level project is exactly the same. That is your core concept. And the concepts what you're supposed to learn is not just the core concepts, which is with respect to enterprise level project, how you build the project, how you design the system around it, and what happens if anything fails in between. So these are the minor criticalities which you're supposed to understand. By default, AWS, whatever you implement in AWS, it will be similar in the production as well as in the normal scenario. But in production, there will be a lot more challenges what you don't expect to happen. But still, you should be aware of it. That's what I'm trying to convey. In general, this session will cover up those edge cases along with the core concepts. But in order to build a full-fledged use case, you need to start working hands-on. It will definitely take time for you. It is not like one stop gap. You need to continue to work over time, like for a month or 2 or 3. With time, your intuition develops. With intuition comes your expertise. Then you can build any ERP level project, enterprise level project. That is not at all a problem. But within one single session or one single shot, don't expect yourself to be an expert over there. I hope this answers the question. Okay. Okay. Ashok has pinged, could not unmute to write notebooks, historical data in batch. Oh, I think you're answering back. Okay. So yeah.
Sorry, one more thing. Do I need anything to,
Sure.
start this course?
Do I need anything to? Sorry, your
Yeah,
voice,
so
you're
start
having a lot of
start.
disturbance in the background.
Yeah, okay. It's because of my headphone maybe. So do I need anything to, start with this course or any, language, programming language or any other thing? Should I learn before taking this
If you
course?
have, okay, so it is not mandatory to know the technical languages. language like Python, oh, it's good. In case if you don't know, fine, because
Yeah.
this is platform-oriented tutorial. This is not
Right,
exactly
but
a programming-oriented tutorial.
right, but do you like so the Python, if I know it's good or bad, like it's good that I know, or
Yeah,
do I need?
absolutely good.
Yeah, because
Absolutely good.
I know very very
Yes.
basic Python, but if because it's very like you need to learn a lot for that. But any other thing, sir? Just Python or any other thing like SQL you said?
Yeah, yeah. You see, in case if you have an opportunity to learn Python and SQL, go for it. Learn.
Any other thing?
In case if you don't have it,
Yeah.
for now, Python and SQL are the basic things what you're supposed to know. Not
Okay.
much.
So
Now, beyond that, you
yeah.
need not worry too much on that.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
any other thing like
I think
as
that
you said,
answers your
it's like 45-hour course, right?
correct. Yes, yes, yeah.
So it's going to
So
be
no,
like
you need not
Monday
learn
to
any.
Friday.
That course schedule, I think the Visualpath will get in touch with you to explain the course schedule and all.
Okay.
And once that is cleared off, we'll share the same information with you all.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Sam,
like
I think I saw your ping. Huh?
yeah,
Sure,
sorry.
sure. Please go ahead, please.
Let him talk and then I'll write my more questions.
Okay, sure. So yeah, Sam, I think you pointed it out. Today it is bit having some problems because I'm at my hometown. Due to festival, I had to run over here. So and this entire arrangement has been made at the last minute. So I apologize for that. So could you please unmute yourself and ask the question, Sam? Hello. Okay, your mic is not working. See, I don't have any assumptions here. I don't want to assume anything. I come with a clean slate concept. My assumption is like nobody is aware of anything. They need not have any sort of assumptions or understanding. You come with a clean slate. The expectation is here to understand the tools and concepts. Once you are aware of the tools and the concepts, once you're aware of both, then you'll understand what you're supposed to learn by default and at what level, what kind of tools, or like it could be Python, SQL, or any other AWS services is required. The
Yeah, like
basic
AWS.
understanding is very much required.
Sorry. Yeah. So like even if we don't know the AWS services, is it okay? Because you're going through
Absolutely fine.
data. Yeah.
No, no, this session is for to make sure or make you comfortable with the AWS services. Once you are comfortable, then you will definitely get to know whether you should learn Python, SQL or not. Because see,
Okay. So I
there are many services.
yeah.
There are many services which don't need your programming expertise at all. It is
Yes.
self-sustained. But at the same time, it is not. It would be good. It will be always an add-on if you know Python, SQL. Once you know Python, there is another concept called PySpark, which
PySpark.
is
Yeah.
having very great demand in the market, very huge demand currently. Databricks is a platform where we run the Spark, and if people know PySpark, which is combination of more or less the time SQL, Pandas, and Python. It's a combination of the three on higher note, so that will be very beneficial. Trust me, you can get a very great response from the market for sure for your profile, I would say.
So do you think is it better to learn PySpark than Python?
No, no, no. See, PySpark is a library within Python. It's a wrapper which has been built over Java and Scala, which runs with respect to Databricks platform. That's a distributed processing. Let's don't worry about that part. You definitely will come across it over time. But for now, don't worry too much about PySpark. It is a good thing to have in future. But basically, in the beginning, always go with SQL first, Python next, then comes with the rest. And before that, always learn a cloud platform. Cloud is the future. Cloud is the future. That's all I
I have
can say
learned
on
like
that part.
AWS
Yeah.
on my own, but it was not very difficult because I saw like few videos and I learned it. But as a tutor, I think it will be my first taking these classes.
I didn't get you, Deep.
So like I haven't learned or went to colleges to learn cloud. It was just on like YouTube videos and other videos. I have learned through them like
Right.
few services like EC2 Elastic and these all. few services I have learned. But are you going to go through those services as well now? Because it's a big,
No,
and
not now,
45
not
hours.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so within 45 hours, okay, I'll give you what exactly we are going to do. So initially, we are going to get ourselves acclimatized. We'll get used to these kind of services first. So once we are used to it, then we'll go into the implementation, how we can do it. We'll develop a couple of projects. Once that is done, you can still reach out to me via LinkedIn, from where I can definitely help you out to build some more projects. It is not like it's a full stop over here. Once you learn over here, we are done. No, I'll be available for you all with over LinkedIn. You can definitely connect with me and we can go ahead and try to understand the scenario. Okay.
That was for
Yeah.
my part question.
Okay, got it, Deep. So yeah, Sam, you have one more question. So what if one has not used Python before? Will you be covering? No. So I think Python might not be covered over here, because that is again which comes with a different requirements over altogether. Python will definitely be not covered over here. So Python and SQL, if you have a knowledge, it's well fine and good. In case if you don't have it, I'll help you out to, or I'll guide you from where you can learn and how you can learn. But within these 45 hours, it is pretty difficult to cover Python. I'm sorry for that, Sam. So that is the current plan. Yeah, I think I have answered that question, believe. You can just say yes or no. I think that would suffice, Sam.
So, like,
Yeah.
is this syllabus would be enough to like getting opportunity in the field of data, AWS data engineering or data analytics? If 45
Okay.
hours would be enough.
Ritesh, your voice is bit I think your background voice is a little bit echo. I'll just try to understand your question. You mean to say at the end of the course, are you be in a or will you be in a situation to start facing the interviews or get placed in some companies? Is this the
Correct,
gist
correct.
of the question?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, correct, correct.
See, once you're done with this course, you'll be confident enough to start implementing the project. See, but this 45 hours is not just for this one end-to-end implementation. It's all about learning. So once you learn, you need to implement couple of projects. Once you implement couple of projects, as I mentioned to Shweta and Ali, you will understand the edge cases. What kind of challenges you will be facing in the outer world. Only then you will be ready for the project. If not, the moment you attend any sort of interview, trust me, within 5-10 minutes, the interviewer will be aware that you have not worked hands-on, and they'll just continue to, for politeness, they'll continue to work. So I think that will be the scenario. But on a higher note, post this learning, always go and try to implement couple of projects on your own, along with the thought projects within the session. Please cover all these things. So I think, Ritesh, I have answered your question for that.
Yes, yes, yes. Means
Correct?
after like completing those the syllabus, you will yeah, like you will be providing some projects that we are going to be done from our side.
Correct. It will be hands-on session. Definitely, yes. There will be hands-on.
Okay,
You are
okay,
going to
okay,
implement the
okay.
projects for sure, but that is not the outcome. That means that is not the end you mean to say. You have to build some more on top of it. You will have to continue to work, because over here
Okay,
we will be the guiding hand. We know what is outcome beforehand. But when you work on your
okay,
own, you will definitely face some challenges. You have to face. That's an obstacle. When you cross that obstacle, you become confident.
okay. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Ritesh. Thanks for the question. Yeah. Any other questions? Please feel free to.
Can you give a breakdown of the 45 hours? Like how long would the class be? How many days?
Yeah. See, Ali, for that part, I think you need to connect with the Visualpath directly, because
Okay.
currently I don't have the end-to-end visibility as of now. But on a higher level, what I can give you is like, see this the course schedule, what I have in hand. I definitely can share that with you, and the course, like how the course is being designed and what all you're going to face. You might be getting that information shortly. But yeah, for now, I don't have it handy yet. I apologize
Okay.
for that, but yeah, sure. That is the current scenario. that is that answering your question?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, so what does you and for Visualpath recommend next step upon completing this class aside from job hunting? Hmm. So Sam, I think your question is a bit ambiguous over here for me. So what does you and or Visualpath? Yeah, I will be working along with Visualpath, though I might not be directly from Visualpath, but I work with along with them. So recommend as a next step upon completing this class aside from job hunting. Are there follow on classes, for example? So what kind of follow on classes are you looking at? Could you please ping over here so that everybody will be aware of what exactly you're asking? Okay, so here in order to address on a higher note, once you are done with this session or the entire learning, you will be job ready on a point of yes with a knowledge purpose. So this is like you will be aware with a knowledge purpose. Will be aware of the end-to-end scenarios. If you want to be having the entire enterprise level experience, you will have to implement a couple more projects. Yeah, I think I got your ping. You said this class is only for 45 hours. So I was curious, there are other data classes, that's all. 45 hours, so I was curious, are there? Yeah, so definitely, see, there are other data classes, but as I mentioned, okay, I think let me share this link for this course schedule so that you will have an idea of. Uh, okay, got it. So if someone has Azure Data Engineering, is it easy for him? Absolutely, yes. It is easy for them to be a AWS data engineer. I'll tell you what it is in general. See, the data engineering is not dependent on AWS, Azure, or GCP. Those people are dependent on this process. Data engineering has its own fundamentals, and that fundamental goes in this format. You extract the data, transform, load, and render. This is the process that is common across any platform. So if you know AWS, people can work in Azure. If you know Azure, you can definitely work with AWS. Only will slight changes. Let's say there is an overlap of 80 to 90% by default. It should be there. The rest all is all about, like, let's say if someone is from India, they definitely believe Indians are the Indian services are good. If it's from US, they believe US services are good. So Indian will always prefer the Indian methodology, the cook food. Indian will always prefer the Indian food, US will always prefer the US food. So it is as simple as that. So if you know Azure, it's as good as knowing AWS. But coming to that point, having said that, AWS has lots and lots of services within its platform, which can cover a huge range of requirements. It can cover more or less any sort of requirements. You take up any project for that reason, AWS have their own service. But when it comes to Azure, they are still lagging. But slowly they're catching it up. So I think one fine day, all will have their own say. Yeah, I hope that I'm answering your question on point. Yeah, any other questions?
I was looking at the outline and it says on here that you're going to be visualizing data with Amazon QuickSight. How does that compare to Power BI? Is it similar?
Uh, okay, yeah, great question, Sally. So see, let's say you want to render the data on Athena, or over here it says QuickSight, or any other platform you take it up, for example. That's not a concern. Now coming to visualization, so visualization again runs on its own course. Power BI has a greater market share, so there is no other point. There is nobody can dispute that. But when it comes to disputing, or when you want to like understand from with respect to QuickSight, see, QuickSight came with time along with AWS when they wanted to have a service which is similar to Power BI, but it is not as strong as Power BI. And coming to market share, Power BI is still the market leader. No second thoughts. But again, having said that, AWS don't have Power BI licensing. It's all with respect to Azure. So Power BI is with Azure, and AWS will definitely like it is compatible, but it has its own backend challenges like cost. It could be any other problems what the company might be facing because they want the end-to-end solution within a single platform. as I mentioned, that is the challenge. That's the war which is going on in the market.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, no problem. We'll move on to the next questions. In case if you have any, please share. Okay. Okay, yeah, sure, Sam, shoot it. Meanwhile, if any others have any sort of questions, feel free to ask before Sam answers it.
So as a part of this session, we're going to learn about like a cleaning, cleansing the data and fetching and transferring the data to the business systems, but not like generating the reports or dashboards or so and so,
See,
or sending the
generating the data. Mm-hmm.
or sending the data to
Please,
some
please
other
question.
interfaces. So
Mm-hmm.
so what we're gonna like, we are not gonna deal with those reports, dashboards, and data, like transferring the data to other interfaces or systems. Are we
No,
gonna?
that will be very difficult. We will not do that. First thing, since we will be working on Amazon AWS free licenses, and within this free licenses, it's like you have limited resource by default. In order to integrate, it costs you more. You will have to definitely go with licensing. That is not possible at this point.
No, I'm not talking about the hands-on or not, but I'm just talking about
Okay.
will as a AWS data engineer, do we get
Mm-hmm.
to work on that part as well in real life scenario and real corporate scenario?
Definitely, yes. Yes, yes. I'll tell you what happens with my current company in my current workplace. So they have built everything on top of AWS, but for visualization they use Power BI. So
Oh,
yeah, that is the reality. So you
so
cannot
how they
deny that. That's
integrate
what I
Power
told.
BI through ETL, or like how are they using any other tool?
It's, no, no, no. It's see, Power BI is compatible. It can be integrated over AWS Redshift. That's not at all a concern. It is pretty much
Mm-hmm,
easily comfortable. But the
mm-hmm.
challenge is, as I mentioned, they'll have to purchase Power BI license separately for that. And
Oh,
cost is the thing which they don't like. Any company doesn't like cost for that
yeah.
reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need not buy a separate licensing for additional tool, which you can definitely get it within AWS. But see, the quick site, it does not have a great market share. So since it does not have a great market share, it is very tricky for them to find a resource who can work within QuickSight. And therefore, that reason they have Tableau as well. Tableau is
Tableau,
also
yeah,
being built on top of Azure. Yeah,
yeah.
Tableau is being built on top of Azure. There is ClickView, ClickSense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which side?
every
I
company has.
think they are also which side also they
Pardon
are
me.
like which side is like initial stage they are also developing, right? Means as of now they are also still developing their service.
Correct, correct, correct. So definitely there will be a transformation, which time they'll definitely improvise it. But the challenge over is like early adopters, whoever have used, let's say Power BI, ClickSense or Tableau. Now they will have to learn a new technology which is similar to them, but still they have to learn from the scratch. Many of them won't prefer it because see, let's take it as an example. Within every company, every project or every team works independently. They're not interdependent. I'll tell you a scenario within Verizon. They want to migrate everything to GCP. So still their systems runs on AWS and Azure as well. Now they want everything to be in terms of GCP, but still they don't want to move further. Why? There are lots of internal challenges. And see, and there is also coming of synergy where teams should interact within each other and they come to a conclusion which is better and which is not better. That will be the challenge, right? So in order to address these challenges, they should come up with a use case wherein they can show key, okay, like if AWS is beneficial for them, they should have good pros and good cons against it. In case if it is not comfortable, others should be able to reject it, saying that no, AWS is not preferable for us. That is how the situation is. That is what the market is at currently. these are all business concepts. Let's not too much worry about that part, because this decision making part, no, it is entirely beyond our limits. Okay, I think I have Sam's question here. Meanwhile, I'll try to address that one as well. If you know, what challenges have your past students faced after completing this class? What real world physical versus new students based on what you have learned from the past students? Okay, this is a great question. Good question, Sam. So coming to the students, see, I have had interactions with a couple of students before this. Like, they are also into terms of, like, few of them are into data analyst roles, and they wanted to transform themselves into a full-fledged engineer, data engineer. So they come from, couple of them will come from the backend experience, couple of them will come with dashboarding experience. As of now, I haven't met anyone who wants to be who's a front-end engineer and wants to be a data engineer. That is one thing I need to still figure it out. So coming to these two sections, the person who comes from backend engineering, he'll be tech heavy. The person who comes from dashboarding, they'll be like UX related, UI UX related. They have good knowledge on them. It's all tool based. Now, when they have to learn new concepts over here, the challenges they face is all about, like, the understanding and the intuition development, like covering the edge cases as we were discussing. In case if they don't understand the edge case, their intuition will never grow. In case if their intuition never grows, they'll not be a good engineer. That is a challenge what they're facing. And in any interview, you take it for XYZ, any interview, they definitely will question on your intuition. That is your edge case. So this is what is lacking over there. And coming to the other parts, students fail to practice once they're done with this class. And they expect the miracles to happen without any practice. No, that cannot happen. Even after you complete the class, you should be practicing. Daily practice, at least keep yourself aligned with the industry changes, what happens in and out of industry. Have a practice of it. Learn, contribute to open source, contribute over LinkedIn. So once you start contributing, you'll realize many will comment on top of it. Even though if it is wrong, that is absolutely fine. Committing mistakes is the initial part, but committing it again becomes a problem. Mistakes which happens once or twice, it is absolutely fine. Go for it. Try it out. Until unless you try, you'll never know. So that is my learnings, and that's my advice. What I can give it to you. Don't just rely on the courses over here. Courses are like your guiding path. They will be there with you from beginning till the end. But it's your hard work, it's your dedication and discipline which is required to make yourself successful. Nobody can help you out. A person can help you climb a tree, but climbing is your task. You have to climb the tree. No problem. Yeah. So I believe we have addressed all the questions, all the challenges we had. Is there anything which you would like to share or ask or discuss over here? I'll take this one as no then. I'm sorry, Sam. There are no internships during or after the course. There are no such internships, yeah. But provided that you can connect with me over LinkedIn, I can definitely point out to you guys who have worked upon earlier. But again, I cannot commit or guarantee on top of that. Sorry. I hope we have answered more or less all the questions and given a good session over here, I believe. In case if you're happy enough, do please intimate it back to the team so they'll get back to me and we can discuss more on this part later on. Okay. Yeah, I hope we have concluded the session. In case if we are done, we can definitely conclude this one for the day.